Welcome to Mainland, your local regional television station. I'm Graham O'Brien, and some of the stories coming up in today's news. Who is promoting Nelson now? Tasman Mayor talks climate change, warning on water, and more. The promotional body for Nelson's Central Business District, Uniquely Nelson, has a new person at its helm, Simon Duffy. With Christmas now upon us, Chrissy Small met with Simon at Morrison Square to find out about what he hopes to bring to the position and the challenges of retail in Nelson at this time.
I'm here down at Morrison Square and I'm with Uniquely Nelson manager, it's Simon Duffy. Now he's new to the job. Simon, how long have you been in the job?
Oh, 2-3 weeks? 2 or 3 weeks, yeah, in the deep end. And enjoying it.
So we've lost Kathy, of course, she's off to Melbourne and so she's throwing you in. And how's it going so far?
Love a good challenge, and this is a challenge, and so looking forward to next year.
Yeah, we've got Christmas time happening. This is a busy time, of course, but this isn't the most challenging time. This is where people make hay. But have you got any plans? Have you got any vision for the future and how things can actually evolve to help the business area here in Nelson?
Yeah, I'd like to think that coming from Nelson and having a passion for Nelson, a natural passion for Nelson anyway, and my experience overseas and my career so far in marketing, branding and product development and taking a lot of business to the second level, I bring that to the job. And there's lots of ideas going around in this little head of mine, so yeah. Yeah,
well, I guess you've gone around and introduced yourself. What's the scuttlebutt been on the street?
Positive overall. Hard winter, as it has been across a lot of smaller towns around around New Zealand. But positive, obviously, because it's Christmas, New Year, everyone's shopping. Thing we have, as in a lot of small towns, once again, is the winter period, and looking at that trough when things die off a wee bit, and stimulating people to come into the CBD, into Nelson, to do their shopping, their food, their fashion, whatever they want to do, and have an experience in the CBD.
Well, Nelson is a great place. I mean, it is a tourist centre, but look, and as you say, it does get quiet in those winter times, but what is it that you can advise those retailers out there? How can they capitalise on online shopping, for example? A lot of people do that these days. So how can they capitalise on that format?
Good question, and it's come up in the last 2 weeks when I've gone around and introduced myself to various of our stakeholders here, our retailers in the CBD, and one of them, I said to them, how's your second shop going? She said, I've only got one shop. I said, no, you've actually got two. The other one's online. And she said, oh, it's too much competition. I said, no, you need to be. And because that's whether it be social media, your Facebook, your Instagrams, your selling product online, that's coming, it's here to stay, and you need to be part of your business plan and part of your strategy for your business. So it's an important part. So taking people on that journey, and I've got a strong background myself and the online, as far as product delivery and the whole social media. People talk about your product. And one of the quickest ways nowadays, would be a politician, a retailer, anything, you want to get the word out there, is to do it online.
Yep. So you need as much exposure as you can get. It's about putting yourself out there, not just sort of having a shop and going, oh, well, this is it.
Yeah. It's the thing, if someone walks through your shop and you engage them, part of that sales process, hello. Same thing with online. Someone will engage you and then the sales process starts. And to me, I see it as a second shop. To enhance yourself, to enhance your brand, and to sell product through that.
Yeah. And it's about contacting getting into those people through their home and through the internet, isn't it? Yeah. Bringing shopping from here to there.
And as much as people say, oh, people come to our shop and try a product and then they go and buy it online, it also goes the other way as well. And the stats on that, where people have a look online, see your product, and actually come into the shop. Because people still want that experience of talking to someone, especially if it's to be sized or fitted and that sort of thing. And so the whole thing, they said travel agents 15 years ago would die off. Well, no, flight centres are opening up more travel shops. People want people contact, and it's important to come into the CBD and have that experience, because people attract people, you know.
Okay, so events coming up for Uniquely Nelson, and I guess you're going to put a few more out there in the pipeline.
Yeah, we wish to extend. We've got some good events, and we want to extend those, and also attract people from outside of Nelson to come down to Nelson, to experience Nelson and be involved in those events. Next big one for us is the end of January, the 30th of January in Trafalgar Street. It's market day. We close off the day. We've got about 2 or 3 stalls left, otherwise it's sold out, and that's a big day for us. And it's a fun day. Get a sunny day, and it's game on.
Oh, well, Simon, it sounds really exciting. You've got some great plans, and I guess you're always open to suggestions.
Oh, always open to suggestions, and it goes both ways too. As I walked into many of the retailers and say, what are you going to do for us? And I said, no, what are we going to do as a collective group? And what do we do? We're passion, and we be honest about what we do. Because the offer within the CBD, within Nelson, top of the south, there's no other place. You know, you could go across the hill, we go further south, but Nelson is quite unique and has a lot to offer. So it's enhancing that, it's basically growing the business.
Yeah. Now, with the business, of course, is funded by Nelson City Council, and they've changed the terms on that since just before you arrived. How do you plan the future with Uniquely Nelson, with knowing that funding may not be there?
Well, there is a guarantee over the next 3 years that there will be funding there for Uniquely Nelson. And I know what's been going, well, obviously with the ERA and Tourism Nelson, but Uniquely Nelson came out actually quite, well, shining, I suppose, to say what I'm trying to say. And there was meetings with the council in the last week of working more closely together. So we're all going in the same direction. And through that strength you have unity, you know, and that's all good. And part of my role too is to generate more revenue, whether it's through sponsorship or, you know, giving away prizes, generating more, to put more back in to promote the CBD.
Yeah, and help it grow.
Help it grow.
Yeah, we like that growth word, don't we?
We love that growth. Make it grow.
We asked people on the street about their shopping habits for this Christmas.
I'd rather do on local stores rather than online. Yeah. It just feels better. And also I can feel the vibe of the Christmas when you go to a shop actually, rather than doing it online. Nice. Yeah, so I'd rather doing it on a shop.
We've done it because we've got 3 kids, so we're usually kind of pretty much wrapped up by October, and we do a lot of it online now because it's just so, by the time you get out and park, you know, and with 3 kids dragging them around the shops, it's so much easier to do it online. Yeah. Also, we send a lot of stuff overseas, so it needs to be sent by November, so yeah.
Mix. Oh, yeah? Yeah, mix. So if everything gets delivered from the online, then I'll stick with it. If it doesn't, well, we may change our approach.
Don't own any computers. I'm a computer illiterate, so.
You be shopping locally?
You haven't even got one of those fancy phones either.
A bit of both. Yeah. You know, it's pretty good for kids and stuff and clothes online, but a bit of both, eh?
Concern has been raised by the Commissioner for the Environment in a report last month about the effects of climate change and sea level rises, and recommends government support for the establishment of a working group sooner rather than later to create a consensus-driven strategy. Tasman Council have said that the report by Jan Wright has raised what has been until now a predominantly local issue to one of national importance. Chrissy Small spoke to Mayor Kempthorne about the sea level rise knock-on effect of climate change on the district.
Sea level rise, it's a big issue and it's something that's going to be affecting everyone everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a major issue for us. We're starting to see a little bit more impact all the time in our region. We've seen increased erosion in Pakawa, in Parapara, and other areas along our coastline as well, but particularly Rabbit Island has had some quite significant erosion. All of the coast care plantings, which were specific plants designed to keep the sand in place, all got washed away. So it is a major concern. It happens when we have the high tides and usually an easterly wind, and when we have those situations we're seeing more damage, which indicates to me probably there is a slightly higher tide and more effect.
Well, in a recent report, the Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment, Jan Wright, has really kind of put the cat amongst the pigeons over sea level rise. Basically, it's an issue that's not going away.
No, it's not going away, and I think one of the things she said, which I thoroughly agree with, now is the time for us to start to address that issue while we can make plans for the future. If we wait until things are getting more chaotic, we've really missed an opportunity. So it is up to us now collectively through the country. I think one of the things she suggested is that central government needs to work with local government to address this and provide some national guidance. The benefit of that is it'll be similar guidance throughout the country, and I think that's really important, and we need to embrace that and work with it.
With everything going on in Paris at the moment, do you think it's looking positive, climate change?
Well, I hope it is, because the reality is we have, I'm convinced that climate change is a reality. Certainly the science seems to indicate that. I know that there are some scientists that are have a contrary view, but it seems to me that it is reality, and I think again, we need to be sensible. We can't do everything. We can't do everything we would like to do, but I think we really need to put in train the steps we can take as communities. We need to do everything we can to mitigate carbon emissions, etc., and put in place strategies so that we can deal with any events that come.
Now, I know that councils are really concerned about allowing developments happening in low-lying areas. For example, basically it's capped down in Mapua. Everything that's allowed has been allowed, and there's no more development to go on after those allowances have been utilised. What about those low-lying areas like Mapua, like Motueka, that are at risk of sea level rise? Who's going to cop the responsibility of that when those properties are flooded and can no longer be lived in?
Well, one of the things that the council has historically done is to try to put things in place for the community, but increasingly we're finding that the costs are just too great to do all of that, and so we're saying we need to protect public property, but if it's private property, we want to help the landowners to do what they need to do for their properties. And I think the reality is for low-lying areas in the coastal margins, property owners do need to be aware of this and start to be thinking about what they need to do for their properties. I think it's a real issue for many people.
In some aspects, so it's going to be very difficult for those beachfront properties, for example. They can't lift their houses and put them on stilts or anything like that. So the reality is, unless there's some kind of protection between them and the water, there's nothing they can do.
And I think those are all the issues that we need to start facing, because it may be that in some cases they can do something. If people are on piles, then they can lift the floor level of the house, but if they're on a concrete pad which is low-lying, they're pretty restricted. So it is something that people do need to start facing.
Now, Richard, so what would you like to see happen? I mean, other than the national government being involved in dealing with the situation and working with local government, what do you think you would like to see?
Well, that is one of the things. I think a central local government work stream to actually address guidance for coastal communities. But I think for us in our district, in Tasman District, what I'd also like people to feel is that the council will help them to deal with the issues that they have to deal with. The council's not going to do it for them, but they should feel quite happy to put their hand up and come in and talk to a professional person with competence in this area and say, look, for my property, what is the reality that I'm facing, and start to actually face those issues head on rather than ignore them.
That will have some financial impact on those property owners, though, because they, as we all know, coastal properties are a fair price, and if they know that those properties are potentially going to be underwater eventually, it's going to diminish their value. Yeah,
and that's why I think people need to, in their properties, they need to come and take advice. They need to actually say what are the options for us, and what they'll probably be told is, well, there could be a range of sea level rise, and it could be between this and this, and they need to find out for their properties what impact would that have on them, because people still like to be by the sea. So we're not going to stop that. People are still going to like being by the sea, but it's being aware of what's happening with their property and the surrounding area by them.
Right, so council won't be turning around and offering large parcels of land to people who have lost their properties with this
sea level rise?
No, unfortunately I don't think that's going to be an option.
A number of growers will be feeling the stress of the dry weather as the council begins to impose Stage 2 water rationing in the Waimea catchment from Monday the 14th of December, after rainfall last week has done little to appease the dry conditions. This rationing means a 35% cut in consented takes will be imposed for those permit holders in Reservoir Waimea West Upper Confined, Delta Upper Catchment and Golden Hills zones, and Stage 1 rationing meaning a 20% cut in consented takes for those permit holders in the Lower Confined and Hope Aquifer zones. There is now a ban on watering lawns in Richmond, Mapua, Ruby Bay, Hope, Brightwater and Wakefield and their rural extensions. Handheld hosing can occur on odd and even days corresponding to the house street number to water productive gardens only. With Waimea River flowing at 2,400 litres per second at the Wairoa Gorge, the flow is now dropping at a rate of 100 litres a day. Council is concerned that groundwater levels in the Waimea Plains are continuing to drop, and this is anticipated to increase as water demand increases. This rationing means the council will be juggling its urban and rural water supply systems. All rural water supply systems of the Redwood 1 and Redwood 2 supplies and urban consumers in Brightwater will need to do as much as they can to conserve water. Also, the Waiti Dam service zone has also moved to Stage 1 restrictions from Monday. Tasman ratepayers are set to benefit from the Tasman District Council's sustained focus on debt reduction and reduced spending, with a lower than predicted rate increase next year. The Council's long-term plan 2015 to 25 had signalled an overall rate rise of 2.96% next year. While the exact details are still being worked out, the Council is expecting rate rises across the district to be significantly lower than that. The Council's debt for the 2014-15 financial year was $28 million lower than projected. It achieved an operating surplus of $8.6 million. Which means Council needs to raise less revenue from rates than it expected when the LTP was written. The latest quarterly results show the Council's net debt for 2015-16 is forecast to be $14 million lower than predicted in the LTP, and the year-end operating surplus is on track to be $2.95 million higher than budgeted. Nelson Cathedral turned on the annual Switched On Christmas event with choir music and Christmas trees on Tuesday evening to a crowd of around 300 people. Those attending were treated with Christmas mince pies and mulled wine after the choir's performance, leaving those attending to enjoy the wonderful display of over 30 Christmas trees, with each one decorated in a different theme by local community groups from the Nelson area. If you missed the event, don't worry, because the trees will remain on display at Nelson's Cathedral up until Wednesday the 25th of December. We'll leave you now with a highlight of Tuesday night's event. After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
Nelson Tire Center. Great prices, great service. Buy your own Bryford trailer. All types, all sizes. See Colin Douglas for your tires and batteries.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Are you looking for a scooter, walker, wheelchair, baby seats or pushchairs? Then come in and see the Nelson Region Specialist at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library. We have a huge selection of scooters, walkers, wheelchairs and accessories, along with a free booklet guide. We also provide a breakdown service if you ever get a puncture or a flat battery. we have fully equipped service vans to rescue you. Hi, I'm Robin Jordan and I invite you to call in and see the friendly team at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library.
Welcome to Smugglers Pub and Cafe, open 7 days a week with free parking all day. Our lunch menus have that old-fashioned flavour where we treat you like treasure with the food you'll savour.
We cater for children, grannies and granddads too, with special rates and privileges given to the elderly lunchtime crew. Our staff are friendly and kind and want to see you all come back time after time.
Daytime or evening, it doesn't matter. Give us a call on 546 4084 and we'll be happy to spoil ya.
Victory 60 Plus is on Tuesdays at 1:30 through to 3:30 p.m. at 238 Upper Vanguard Street. You can join in for cards, games and a cuppa.
The Mapua Boat Club and Tamaha Sea Scouts wish to advise of a public meeting in regard to access to the water in Mapua, to be held at the Mapua Community Hall Monday the 14th of December at 6 p.m. On behalf of the Teamsters here at Mainland Television News, thank you for joining us, and we'll bring you the latest news and events from around the region again tomorrow.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
We're the team at JCar, right here in Nelson, 120 Hardy Street. Our shop is full of electronic items,
including security alarm systems, electronic components,
solar and power,
electronics toys,
sound systems, cables and much, much more. JCar.
120 Hardy Street, Nelson.
Nelson Tire Center. Great prices, great service. Buy your own Bryford trailer. All types, all sizes. See Colin Douglas for your tires and batteries.
World War I was a defining period in our history, impacting greatly on the lives of people from the Nelson province. Memories of the First World War is an exhibition which will be displayed in a number of regional venues and is currently on at the Nelson Provincial Museum.
Hi everyone, I'm Malcolm Harris from the Facilitators. We now look after sales for Mainland TV, radio, Sky and online. New Zealand On Air's latest Colmar Brunton survey confirms Mainland's large multimedia audience. If you're in business or want to put a message out to everyone in the Nelson Tasman region, plus nationwide on Sky or worldwide online, please give me a call or see our website at www.mainlandtv.nz.
Welcome me hearties to Smugglers Pub and Cafe, famous for hearty meals, craft ales and a friendly service way. Sensational seasonal menus with meals all day and evening too, or sail in for a snack with special menus for young smugglers and you. Settle in for a jolly old time, relax and enjoy our award-winning dining and lovely fine wine. Decked out in an old worldly way, we're open 7 days. Book or come on in to 8 Muritai Street, not far from a beach, walk or swim. Phone 546408. Today's
the day when all the wrongs get put right. Back in their place when everything was so tight. there to fight. I'll shout it from the highest heights. I'll paint it in the sky, then the sun is gonna shine. So I say, have a nice day now. Yeah. All over the world tonight, your colors are now bright. So have a good day. So I say, have a nice day now. Yeah. All over the world tonight, your colors are now bright. So have a good day. You can fly. You can fly. Fly. So I say, have a nice day now. Yeah. All over the world tonight, your colors are now bright. So have a good day. So I say, have a nice day now. Yeah. All over the world tonight, your colors are now bright. So have a good day.
Nelson Tire Center. Great prices, great service. Buy your own Bryford trailer. All types, all sizes. See Colin Douglas for your tires and batteries.
Hi, I'm Graham from Classic Gates Engineering. We specialise in all sorts of engineering, classic gates, balustrades, pool fences, do structural engineering, house lots of structural steel work, swimming pool fences. We also do firebox repairs, garden furniture, archways, etc. So for powder coating, sandblasting, all sorts of paint work, call in to see us, 6 Nelson Street, Blenheim, Classic Gates Engineering.
From Cresswell's on Market Street, we've fitted footwear for all seasons, all reasons. For summer times in the sounds, for solid support on the sidelines, for social events around town, for good times round the grapevines. That's why at Cresswell's we believe in fitting footwear correctly, so you get the best out of quality shoes and sandals and can then get the best out of life.
Cresswell Special Service, it's unique, helping keep Marlborough on its feet for over 60 years.
Welcome to Smugglers Pub and Cafe, open 7 days a week with free parking all day. Our lunch menus have that fat old-fashioned flavour where we treat you like treasure with the food you'll savour.
We cater for children, grannies and granddads too, with special rates and privileges given to the elderly lunchtime crew. Our staff are friendly and kind and want to see you all come back time after time.
Daytime or evening, it doesn't matter. Give us a call on 546 4084 and we'll be happy to spoil ya.
Waimea Telecommunications, specializing in free-to-air digital television, internet broadband connections, telephone and telecommunications systems. Call Julian Toon at Waimea Telecommunications on 544-4203.
We're the team at JCar, right here in Nelson, 120 Hardy Street. Our shop is full of electronic items,
including security alarm systems, electronic components,
solar and power,
electronics toys,
sound systems, cables, and much, much more.
JCar. 120 Hardy Street, Nelson.